Well, all week I talked about, getting a fast start. I thought that was really important for us. You play an SEC team, 13th ranked in the country. You want to make sure you believe. And I thought we put ourselves in the hole real early. Two really poor special teams plays. One where we punted the ball on a one-step that we didn't really have to do that, and gave them great field position where they got a field goal. And another one where obviously we caught a kickoff where he's going out of bounds and give our guys the ball on the 1 yard line. So those 10 points early really hurt us. But I just thought they were a really good football team. We had to play clean early. We didn't play clean early. We always kind of playing from behind. I thought their defense has a lot of savages. They have some really good football players on defense. And you could just see we struggled just to move the ball in any consistent fashion. I thought defensively it was a little bit more self-inflicted, where, they played with some tempo. They have really good football players, and they get you out of position even a little bit, it's going to cost you. So, we're a work in progress. Really disappointed though we didn't play well early, because I thought if we played well early, that would give us our best chance and see how things would unfold. But just playing from behind right away really hurt us. Learning moment for us. Again, I know we're not a complete work in progress. I know we're a work in progress. I know we're not a complete pitcher yet, but I still like the team I have going to be playing the people that we're going to be playing. I think we stepped up against a good football team, and we just weren't their match. But again, disappointed we didn't give ourselves a chance by playing well early. So, questions?
Coach, how much do you think the team's speed that Oklahoma has is a factor?
Oh yeah, no question. Again, especially on defense, that is a legitimate SEC defense. They can run. They run the ball. The head coach does a great job. With how aggressive they are. I just felt like Evan always was under pressure. We really couldn't get anything going with the run game. Tyler was really patient, because the last thing you want to do is just have a bunch of 3 and outs and throw the ball 3 times, and all of a sudden you're making this game even longer. We tried to play, a game where we were trying to, methodically kind of chip away and get some first downs, and we didn't do that. But I also think, just some of those negative plays early just really hurt us, and kind of took some momentum away from us. We went in very confident. When I say confident, we went in confident knowing that, we execute, we have a chance to play in this game, and then we'll see how it works out at the end. If that's your plan and then you don't execute early on, it can add up on you pretty quickly. But my feeling on the sideline was the guys kept on playing hard to the end. They were really disappointed, obviously, but that didn't affect their effort and those kind of things. But yeah, they have some speed. Quarterback's a really good football player. There's a reason why he was the most pursued quarterback coming in out of the portal. Very accurate, and boy, he really can run the ball. He can pull the ball down and make some big plays. So yeah, they're a good football team. I'd be interested to see how this whole thing works out for them. But that defense is going to keep them in a lot of games.
Casey, what happened on the 3rd and 19 play early on, where you guys had them in a long 3rd and long there, and then the tight end just Keeler?
Yeah, so I haven't seen it on tape yet. I was moving on, but it depends if it was a wheel route or not. Depends who would be looking for that crossing route. So again, we had to play clean. I think it was more self-inflicted wounds more than anything else. But they can expose you with the speed that they play at, and then you get a little overwhelmed. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the kind of plays early in the game. 3rd and 19. We left them out a couple times. A couple times we made hits to the quarterback, and we didn't finish it off. We had a 3rd and 19 we didn't take care of. So early on, if we could have made some of those plays, I think then we could have gotten some confidence. But there was a handful of plays early in the game that really dictated sort of the tempo of the whole game.
Defensively, would you like to sort of just hold up a little better against the run in the red zone? That's 3 of their scores.
It was more self-inflicted wounds. It was a couple misalignments. Some guys, we had a guard tackle pull, and we didn't follow the guard tackle, and that's what we have to do. We have to go fill those gaps. And so there's a couple plays like that. You're shaking your head. It's like we see these plays every week. And we worked on these schemes all week long. I think sometimes you get in the course of a game where things aren't going your way, and you let it compile. And again, I think it's a great learning opportunity for us. Like, guys, just got to keep on playing. What I saw was that too many times I think we let a previous snap affect the next snap. And that happens with the team as you're just getting to learn about each other. And the reality is the first 2 games we didn't really face anyone that if we made a mistake, we usually could cover up. We misaligned at UMass and they busted one down the sideline. We caught the guy in the 3 and we end up getting a goal line stand, and we fixed all that. Against these guys, you can't do that. You can't make a mistake up front because they're gonna hurt you bad. So yeah, I think my biggest disappointment was we just didn't play clean enough, and we didn't give ourselves a chance. And again, we talked all week about if we're in this thing early and we get into halftime and it's a couple point game. I like my chances because again, all of a sudden they're going to say we probably should spend a little bit more time on Temple. That never happened. They never had to worry about how much time they spent on Temple because they got going pretty quickly. And again, some of those were big plays that the 3rd and 19, the catching the kickoff on the 1, and these are things we work on all the time. We're near the sideline, we're fair catching, and we're trying to step to be out of bounds because then we get the ball in the 35. These are things we work on all the time. But sometimes when I told the players at halftime, I said the moment seemed a little bit too big for us. The moment just seemed a little bit too big for us. Take a deep breath. Let's regroup. Let's play the second half. I didn't sign up for 2.5 games. I signed up for a whole season. So let's see if we can get this fixed the second half. But I liked how we kept on playing. It's just again we got to play cleaner. We're not going to be significantly better than anyone else on our schedule right now. So we better play cleaner.
On the offense, there were a couple of 3rd and 1s early on. I think Tucker lost 3 yards on the 1. The other one was a sack. Was that some of maybe the early plays that kind of got this?
Exactly. There's a handful of plays where you look at like some 3rd and 1s where now we're punting the ball. They were just really good up front, and we really struggled with them. And our offensive line, as I said earlier, probably is the most improved position we had. We didn't bring any new guys in. This is all guys that were here, and they've played well. That was a different animal. It really was. And even, at halftime, talking to my old line coach, he goes, we would make a mistake in the previous games, and we get away with it. We're not getting away with those mistakes now. And so sometimes you get some bad habits because you're getting away with some things. Any bad habits we have, we got exposed.
So you started, you took the one you started, was that why you took the ball and wanted to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was the whole purpose was let's take the ball, let's see if we can get some momentum. Plus the other thing is this, I wanted to have an extra possession in the first half, just so we could kind of talk through defensively at halftime a little bit more, like what kind of things we're getting from them. But yeah, I didn't want to give them the ball and have them march down and start off with 7. I wanted to say, hey, you know what, our offense has played really well. I think Tyler has a pretty good plan to chip away at them and take some shots downfield. But again, we just didn't play clean enough and we didn't convert some of those short yardage plays that we had to convert to keep drives alive.
What was the game plan for the run game going into this?
Well,
How did it change?
yeah, it was going to keep. We knew we couldn't run the ball right at them, but at the same time, we can't throw it 3 straight, chew off 10 seconds on the clock and punt the ball. So it's that fine line where you're banging your head against the wall, and you almost know you're banging your head against the wall. But part of it is also in an effort to shorten the game down a little bit. But we thought we had to be kind of clever in our run game, and some of the inside zone stuff and those kind of things. But then getting the ball quickly on the flank with some of the stuff we do with those screens on the perimeter. It's just that they run so well that you get the ball on the perimeter, they show up really quickly.
Did you plan on using all 3 backs like you did last game?
Yeah, I think sometimes the game just happens, So I think we're trying to duck some carries downhill, and then see if we could work some of the screen game on the outside on the perimeter. But and then Therese got in there and did a couple things. But Therese was a little bit hit or miss. Either he hit something or he was dancing and we would lose some yards. So there wasn't a whole lot of run game to get. And I think we knew that going in, but at the same time we thought we could get enough that the outside screen game, those kind of things could we could get that going based on the fact they'd have to at least play a little bit against our run game. So again, not running the ball well really hurt the rest of the package.
How were the guys in the locker room just now?
Yeah. So I told him, I said, listen, I signed up for 12, and I'm hoping for 13 or 14. I said, you know, this is obviously not what we wanted. I said, you guys practiced really well all week. You had a lot of confidence going in. And you know, maybe it's me with, you know, with the fact that I kept on saying we got to start off, you know, with the start off well. You know, we start off hot, you know, that's going to really set the tone for the game. And then when we didn't, you know, maybe there's, you know, a big letdown there. I'm not sure. I always like to self-reflect and say, how can I do something better? But week of practice was as focused as I've seen our guys. They took it to a kind of a new level. And I think they were really excited for the opportunity. I thought the crowd was great. I mean, you know, they were really into it. It's just when you make those mistakes early, boy, it just sets the tone for the game. And we made some of those big mistakes early. You know, when you put the ball on the 1 yard line, it just, you know, that's such a deflating moment. You know, when you get a 16-yard or 18-yard punt or whatever it was, that second punt or third punt, and you know, give them a position where, you know, they only got a field goal out of it, but they still got points out of it. You know, we get a better punt there, they don't get any points out of that. So, yeah, like I said, they're disappointed, but I think they feel like, you know, we worked hard all week, we just didn't play to the ability we had to play, especially early on.
How did you
That's
come-
true for coach.
How did you come out of this game health-wise?
I think okay. Yeah, I think one of our guys was having a little heat issue at the end of the game, but you know, there was nothing that was. It was more like, you know, I think Seku's shoulder was a little tight, so let's get him on the sideline. That was like the middle third, fourth quarter, something like that. So it was a couple of guys like that, but nothing that was anything. You know, as I left the locker room, there's nothing that was concerning.
What do you take from this loss that you'll carry through for the rest of the season?
Yeah, you know, they're a really good football team, and we had to execute better early on. And my problem with us not executing early was you can see a little panic happen. And that was one of my reminders, guys, don't panic. Just don't panic. And that was, you know, something that I think, you know, we have to, you know, take a stock on, is that when we didn't play well early, there was a little panic. You know, guys were pointing fingers, anything like that, but you could just see the frustration. It's like, you just got to worry about playing the next snap. And that was our halftime talk. Let's just go play one snap at a time. You know, can we get back in this thing? Let's not worry about getting back in this thing. Let's just worry about us getting to be a better football team. And if we can get back in it, great. But just one snap at a time. Just keep on getting better one snap at a time. And again, that is a really good football team. That on the defensive side of the ball is probably, you know, upper echelon of college football. And obviously that quarterback, you know, is a really good football player, and he makes them tick. So.
You guys
Okay.
have a pretty tough opponent in Georgia Tech next week. It might be a simple question, but just how do you bounce back from that and kind of get
Yeah.
back on track?
Yeah, I haven't looked at Georgia Tech at all, so I don't know enough about, you know, what they're doing and those kind of things. But I think our kids are pretty resilient. I think sometimes we won't give them enough credit. I think they'll bounce back. I think there's a lot of pride in that locker room. Again, I didn't see us going back to old habits. I didn't see us going back to anything where you'd say, oh, that's disturbing. I think it's more like, hey, you got to execute early. When you're playing an opponent like this, you don't execute early, they're gonna take it to you. And we didn't execute early, and again, there's a couple big plays there that really accentuated, like, you know, like digging ourselves a hole. And we couldn't have those plays, especially early on. We couldn't have those plays.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.